Hello everyone, it's me Sanjay Vasu back again for another video. This time I'm doing it on Cambridge Lower Secondary Checkpoint for October 2020 Mathematics Paper 2. You may use a calculator. Let's start. Question 1. Use a whole number to complete the statement. 3.15 into 0.04 is equal to 3.15 into dash divided by 100. So we cancel 3.15 from both sides. 0.04 is dash divided by 100. 4 divided by 100, right? So a whole number, that's 4. Question 2. Lily wants to count the number of cars of different colors that drive past her school. Design a data collection sheet that Lily could use. First, Lily wants to find out the number of cars of different colors that drive past her school. So that means we need a column in this data collection sheet for colors, and we need some for number of cars. And why some and not just one? Because we need a tally and we need a frequency. So I'll just show you what this data collection sheet is supposed to look like. Just draw a rectangle and now divide into 3 columns like this. And now we can divide for the heading section. We have color of car and then tally, frequency. So color means the color of the car that drives past the school. The tally is the number of cars, but then in tally form, which means in groups of 5 like this. This is kind of like a tally marks. And for frequency, it's just the number of cars in actual numbers. You do not need to fill this in because we're only designing a data collection sheet. We're not having any results. That's the answer. Question 3. The diagram shows a cuboid. Calculate the volume of the cuboid. So the volume is going to be 11 into 5 into 4 because it's length into breadth into height. Multiply all of that. So that's the formula, which is equal to 220 centimeters cubed. Question 4. The cost to hire the hall is $20 plus $15 per hour. A. Write down a formula for the cost C to hire the hall for H hours. So C is equal to 20 plus 15 into H because 15 per hour. So number of hours into 15 is the cost, and then we add 20. So it'll be 15H plus 20. B. Use the formula to work out the cost to hire the hall for 6 hours. That'll be 15 into 6 plus 20, which is equal to 90 plus 20, $110. That's the answer. Question 5. This shape is made from 2 rectangles. Calculate the area of the shape. So we can divide it like this. This length will be 8.2 minus 3.7, which is equal to 4.5 centimeters. Now we have 2 separate rectangles. We can calculate the area of the shape. So let's keep R1, R2. The area of R1, rectangle 1, is equal to 3.2 into 3.7. Let's get our calculator out. There we are. 3.2 into 3.7, which is equal to 11.84 centimeters squared. Now the area of rectangle 2 is equal to 4.5 into 8.5. Let's get that in our calculator. 38.25 centimeters squared. Now the total area, TA, is equal to 38.25 plus 11.84, which is equal to, let's just do that here. We get 50.09 centimeters squared. That's the answer. And now for question 6. Rajiv puts $2,400 in the savings account. 1 year later, it's worth $2,580. Work out the annual rate of interest. So this will be 2580 minus 2400, and then we divide it by 2400, which is the original, multiply by 100 for percentage. Cancel this out. There's 24 here. This one becomes 180 here. So 180 divided by 24. Let's do that. We get 7.5% rate of interest. That's the answer. Now let's go to question 7. Draw a ring around the point that does not lie on the line y equals 3x plus 2. Let's substitute x and y. X is 2. 3 into 2 plus 2 is equal to 6 plus 2, which is 8. So the y is 8 here. This one is there. We don't need to draw a ring around this. We need to draw it around the one which does not lie. 0, 4. So x is 0, y is 4. Multiply, we get 0 plus 2, which is 2, but it's given y is equal to 4 over here, and that's not true, so this is the point. You can work out for our 2 points over here. If you substitute the values inside the equation, you will get it as they will lie on the line. That's the answer. Question 8. Write down the length of the hypotenuse of triangle BCE over here. So over here we have everything labeled. We just need to find the hypotenuse of BCE, which is the longest side over here, 13 centimeters. That's the answer. Question 9. Pink paint is made by mixing 9 parts of white paint with 5 parts of red paint. Find the number of parts of red paint needed to mix with 54 parts of white paint. So for 9 parts of white paint, we need 5 parts of red paint. So white is to red is equal to 9 is to 5. So 9 is to 5 is equal to 54 is to x. That is the number of parts of red paint, because 54 is white paint parts. If you multiply both by 6, we get 54 when we multiply 9 into 6, and for 5 into 6, we get the other value in the other side of the ratio. So x is equal to 5 into 6. That we need to multiply both sides by 6 to get the ratio, and that'll be 30 parts of red paint. That's the answer. Question 10. Here's the calculation. 87 divided by 14 is 6, remainder 3. Drawing around the correct fraction for the answer to this calculation. The divisor is 14, so that's the denominator. 6 is the quotient given here, the remainder 3, that comes in the top numerator of the fraction. So we can draw a ring around this one. B. Use 2 whole numbers to complete this calculation. So in these 2 whole numbers, one of them, this one, is the dividend and the other is the divisor. So to find the divisor, it's just the denominator, which is 13. Now the dividend is, we multiply 13 into 9 because there's whole number, and then there's the denominator. 13 into 9 is 117, and we add 2 because that is the remainder over there. So this will be 119. And when we get it, actually when we divide, it is 9 2 by 13. That's the answer. Question 11. A set of data has fewer than 6 values. The median of the set is 5, but none of the values are 5. Write down a set of possible values for this data. So the median is 5, but none of them are 5. That means there should be an even number of values, because then 2 values at the middle will have their mean, the mean of the 2 values in the middle. Let's say there are 4 values like this, so cancel out these 2. The mean of these 2 values, add them, divide by 2, that will be the median here. So let's take 4 values. We can take any 2 values on the sides. So let's just take 2 and 7. And then we need 2 more values. So for these 2 values, we need to find some values so that x plus y by 2 is equal to 5. So x plus y is equal to 10. So any 2 values of x and y which add up to 10 and also come inside this range. 2 less than or equal to x or y, both of them, and then less than or equal to 7. Because we have the values 2 and 7, they are the outside. The middle has to be in between these 2 numbers. So I'm going to take 4 and 6 because they add up to 10. You can change all these values if you want to. So set of possible values will be like this, with the curly braces, 2, 4, 6, 7. That's the answer. For these two values, by the way, it does not have to be 2 and 7 alone. It can be any other values, but then they do not come in between the two numbers in the middle. So practically any values, but this value should be less than the number here, and this value should be greater than the number here. These two numbers also don't have to be the same as written already. These can be any two values. When you add it, divide by 2, we get 5. Or when you add it, we get 10. And also, they should be in between these two numbers. Now for this one, let's say this is 1 and 8. We can make this as 3 and 7 if you want to, because 3 plus 7 is equal to 10. That's the answer. Question 12. Draw a ring around each of the two ratios that are equivalent. 2 is to 3, 4 is to 3, 3 is to 2, 6 is to 8, 15 is to 10. So if we actually check here, we can find out that 3 is to 2 is actually equal to 15 is to 10. Because when you multiply both sides by 5, we get 15 is to 10. So these two ratios are equivalent. That's the answer. Let's go to question 13. Carlos carry out a survey on clubs at school. This is one of the questions in the survey. Do you agree that there should be more clubs to go to at school? Yes, no, or don't mind. Write down one reason why this is not a good question. Well, over here it asks, do you agree? That means it's quite evident that Carlos agrees that there is more clubs to go to school. So he thinks something and he's expecting you to agree to it, which means there is sources of bias. The starting of the question which is, do you agree, expresses bias. Why bias? Because he, as I said, is thinking there should be more clubs to go to and he's asking you to agree to it. So it's like you know what he thinks and he's saying you to just copy him and follow him. And that's the answer. Question 14. Here's a scale drawing showing three cities, A, B, and C over here. The real life distance from city A to city B is 140 kilometers. Find the real life distance from city B to city C. If you measure the length of this AB and BC on A4 size paper, we will get AB as 7 centimeters and BC as 4.5 centimeters. Now that means 7 centimeters is to 140 kilometers. 140 kilometers is just the real life distance. And that means 1 centimeter is to 140 by 7, which is 20 kilometers. And now 4.5 centimeters is to 20 into 4.5, which is equal to 4.5 centimeters is to 90 kilometers. That's the answer for distance from B to C. By the way, this 4.5 centimeters here is the scale distance of B to C, and 90 kilometers is the real life distance, which I've just written as the answer. Question 15. The graph shows Angelique's journey to work. A. Write down the number of minutes Angelique stops for during her journey. So stop means that you need to have a straight line horizontal. So horizontal line is over here, and that starts from 8:30 till 9:15, and that'll be 45 minutes. That's the answer. B. Safia takes exactly the same route to work. She leaves at 8:30. It takes her 45 minutes to get to work. She travels at a constant speed. Draw Safia's journey on the grid. So Safia's journey will be starting at 8:30. She gets to work at 45 minutes long. And no delays as well. Nothing. 17 kilometers in 45 minutes over here. So no stopping as well, like that. So we can draw a line like this. And that'll be Safia's journey. That's the answer. See, Safia passes Angelique on her way to work. Write down the time when Safia passes Angelique. If you see here, the dot is placed straight at 9:03. So that's the time when she passes Angelique. That's the answer. Question 16a. Chen throws a coin 120 times. He gets 54 heads. Write down the relative frequency that he gets a head. 54 by 120 divide by 6, we get 9 by 20. So that's the answer. B. Jamila also throws a coin 120 times. The relative frequency that she gets a head is 0.575. Work out how many more heads Jamila gets than Chen gets. Now we need to find how many heads that Jamila gets. So Jamila gets, I'll write J, 120 into 0.575 because that's a probability. And now let's get our calculator out. 120 into 0.575. We get 69 heads. And Chen, C, is 54 heads. So J minus C, that's equal to how many more heads Jamila gets than Chen. That's J minus C is equal to 69 minus 54. And that's equal to 15 heads more. That's the answer. Let's go to question 17. Write 252 is the product of its prime factors. We can put 252 at the top of the factor tree and factorize it like this, using prime factors. 2 multiplied by 126. And then we can factorize this. 2 multiplied by 63. This one will be 3 multiplied by 21. This one will be 3 multiplied by 7. And finally, we have all primes. So 252 is equal to all the numbers which are not circled. So 2 into 2, which is 2 squared, multiplied by 3 into 2, which is 3 squared, multiplied by 7. That's the answer. Question 18. A supermarket puts colored labels on bottles of drinks to show how much sugar each contains per 100 ml. Each label is either green or yellow or red. The color and the amount of sugar per 100 ml of drink are given in the table. The supermarket sells lemonade in bottles containing 250 ml. Each bottle contains 14.5 grams of sugar. Work out which color label should be put on these bottles of lemonade. Draw a ring around your answer. Show how you worked out your answer. So 250 is equal to 100 into 5 by 2. Or in other words, 250 into 2 by 5 is equal to 100. To get 100 ml over here. Now we can multiply the same thing by 14.5. 14.5 into 2 by 5. And we get the amount of sugar per 100 ml of drink. Let's get our calculator out. So we have 14.5 into 2 divided by 5. We get 5.8 grams. So this will be inside the yellow section right there. That's the answer. Let's go to question 19. Calculate the square root of 7 plus 4.1 cubed by 3.1 to 0.2. So the square root of 7, we can do this. Add 4.1 cubed. We get this. 71.57 divided by 3.1 into 0.2. We get 0.62. So 71.57 divided by 0.62. Remember, there's 2 decimal places. I'll make it so 115.44. That's the answer. Let's go to the next question. 20. 40% of a number is 80. Find 55% of this number. So the number is equal to 80 into 100 by 40. So we can cancel to get 200. Now to find 55% of 200, multiply, we get 55 by 100 into 200. We can cancel out the zeros here. So we get 55 into 2, which is 110. That's the answer. Question 21. Use a trial and improvement method to find an approximate positive solution to this equation. Give your answer correct to one decimal place. You may not need all the rows. One value has been done for you. So, because when x is 10, this is too big, you can make x as 9. Now, it'll be 9 squared. 9 squared minus 3 into 9 is equal to 50. We'll see 9 squared is 81 minus 3 into 9, 27, which is equal to 54. So we got 54. So it'll be just a bit too big. So we'll take 8.5 because 8 will be too big of a decrease. Because we can see it decrease by 16 here. It'll be decreased by at least 12 or something next. And that'll go down to 42. Okay, we'll go for 8.5. Let's use a calculator. 8.5 squared minus 3 into 8.5. We get 46.75, which is too small. Next number, we'll take 8.7 actually. We'll skip 8.6 because it won't be that much of an increase. So 8.7 squared minus 3 into 8.7, we get 49.59. You can see that's slightly small. Slightly small. Not too small, just slightly. So now, let's just take 8.8. Looks like 8.7 is the answer, but let's first confirm by checking for 8.8. Square it, minus 3 into 8.8. We get 51.04. This is slightly big, which is by 1.04 on the number line, but then 49.59 is closer, so we can say that x is equal to 8.7. That's the answer. Let's go to question 22. Mike has $450 and spends $360. Gabriela has $3,600 and spends $2,700. Take to show who spends a greater proportion of their money, Mike or Gabriela. Show how you worked out your answer. So Mike spent $360 by $450, which is equal to 4 by 5 of his money. And Gabriela spent $2,700 by $3,600, which is, cancel the zeros, 3 by 4. So 3 by 4, multiply both sides by 5, we get 15 by 20. And 4 by 5, multiply both sides by 4, we get 16 by 20. So now we can compare the fractions. It'll be 16 by 20 is greater than 15 by 20. And 16 by 20 is Mike. So Mike actually spends a greater proportion of their money. That's the answer. Question 23. Convert 15 miles into kilometers. When converting to kilometers, we multiply by 8 by 5, which means we get 3 into 8, 24 kilometers. That's the answer. Question 24. A car travels at 72 kilometers an hour. Work out number of meters the car travels in 1 second. So that's practically the speed in meters per second. That's what we need to find. So 72 kilometers an hour is equal to 72,000 meters per hour. And then 72,000 divided by 3,600, because 1 hour contains 3,600 seconds. So when we divide it, we get meters per second. And when we do divide it, we get 20 over here. So 20 meters per second. And the answer is 1 second, 20 meters. Question 25. Round each number to 3 significant figures. 0.004546. Over here, because there are zeros at the start of the number before any other number comes as a digit, these zeros are not counted as significant figures. So 4 is actually the first significant figure, 5 is the second one, and 1 is the third one. The fourth significant figure is 4 right there. This 4 is less than 5. That's why we keep the digits the same. We do not add anything, so 0.00451. That's the answer. Now for the second one, 778,893.2. Now because it starts with a 7, that means that's the first significant figure, 7 is the second, and 8 is the third. The second 8 is the fourth significant figure, which is greater than 5, right? This 8 is greater than 5. That means we add 1 to the previous 8. So it'll be 779,000. That's the answer. Question 26. Shape A is enlarged by a scale factor of 2 to make shape B. Shape B is then rotated to make shape C. Shape C is then translated to make shape D. Take to show if each pair of shapes are congruent or not congruent. A and B. Well, A is enlarged by a scale factor of 2 to make B. And because they're different size, not congruent. A and C. Because shape B is rotated to make shape C. That doesn't change the shape from B and C. But A is not equal to B, or it's not congruent to B. And B is equal to C, or B is congruent to C. That means A is not congruent with C. Now B and D. Shape B is rotated to make shape C, so they're congruent. Shape C is translated to make shape D. That doesn't change the size, so they're congruent. That means that shape B congruent to shape D. The size does not change, so they're congruent. Question 27. Shapes E and F are congruent. Write down the coordinates of point P. To do that, we can find the x and y difference between these 2 points, negative 3, 1 and minus 1, 7. So difference from going to this point to this point for x difference is minus 1 minus 3, which is equal to 2. Y difference is equal to 7 minus 1, which is equal to 6. So we have 2 of them there. So when we go from this point to this point, we go 2 in the x and 6 in the y to come there. Now for going from the corresponding point, which is here, to the corresponding point of this, which is here, we have to go the same way but in opposite directions. Why opposite directions? Because this has been flipped, rotated 180 degrees to get F. That's why the directions are also rotated 180 degrees, which means opposite directions. So instead of 2, you go minus 2 for the x, and then instead of 6, we go minus 6 for the y. So it'll be 4, 2 plus minus 2, minus 6, which is equal to 2 in the x and negative 4 in the y. So that's the answer. Question 28. A. The diagram shows shapes A, B, C, and D, each made using 5 identical cubes. Write down the shape that does not have deflection symmetry. That means that if you take a plane and reflect half of the shape with the other half, for example for B, you cut through the middle over here using a plane. So if you use a plane to cut through a half of the full shape, and then deflect it using that, it should be symmetrical. So for A, you can cut it through the middle there. B, you can cut through this middle. D, you can cut it through diagonally, because there's probably one cube hidden beneath these 4. But for C, it's not symmetrical at all in any way. You cannot divide it central for horizontal, vertical, or you cannot do it diagonally either. So shape C does not have reflection symmetry. B. The diagram shows the front view of another shape using 5 cubes. Draw the shape on the isometric grid. So this is the front view. So we need to draw pretty much kind of T-shaped one. using 5 cubes, which are already having 5 faces here, so these are the 5 cubes positions. So we can draw it like this. There'll be 3 cubes over here. Now we finished these 3 cubes. Now we can draw 2 bottom cubes to finish the T. And that's how you draw all the 5 cubes. We can see over here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cubes. And the shape, as said in the question, is made using 5 cubes. If we find the front view, which is like this, it actually does look like a miniature T. That's the answer. Question 29. The table shows data about the life of 2 types of battery A and battery B. The median and the range hours are given. Use the median and range to compare the 2 types of battery. So, battery A has a median of 1.8 battery hours. Battery B has 1.3 hours as the median. What does this suggest? It means that, on average, battery A has more battery life than battery B. So, on average, battery A has more life than battery B. Now for comparing the range. So we have battery A 0.4 hours, battery B 0.6 hours. So that means that battery A has more consistent values of hours of battery life than battery B. Or the values for battery A are closer together. So I'll write like this. Battery A has more consistent battery life values, than battery B. And with that, I come to the end of my paper. Please like this video, subscribe to our channel, share this video with your friends and family, and comment on how you think this paper was. With that, I come to the end of my video. I'll see you in my next one. Thank you. Bye.